Hi guys, and welcome back for another tutorial. Today we will be making the most wonderful, warm, cozy, the hat for the winter season. If you live in a very cold climate, you are going to want this hat. It is so amazing. I'm not even going to waste any time. I'm going to show you with the help of my little model. This is the new and improved Balaclava hat. Now I already have a tutorial for a similar version. I have that pattern for free. It basically doesn't have this. It is made differently, but it does give you that same kind of around the whole head, but leaving your face exposed. So for this one, I thought I would bring it up a notch and then give you this nice little panel here that is going to protect your nose and your mouth. So I thought it was great for, you know, wind or snowy days, or even if you're concerned about just masking up, having your kids mask up, then this is a great way to kind of do double duty. They think that they're wearing a hat, but they're really actually protecting themselves from things, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you some features about this hat. As you can see, it is beautiful. It's made out of a nice fleece material, which I do recommend using fleece because it is nice, cozy, warm, all the things. So it has a little bit of elastic right here, but not enough that you can't take it and then put it under your chin. Now this isn't to scale. This head's a little bit big, so it seems tight, but once it's on your child, then it should be just fine. And then it will go right over and kind of snug right over their nose like that. And then they can kind of peek over that. They can even have it under their nose, however they want to have it, but it's up to them. So we also have the little cinchers on the side, and this little cincher is going to go all the way around the hat, and then it's just going to allow it to, you know, really get in there. So if you really want to hide from all the elements, then you can just cinch up as much as you want, and then of course you can relax it and breathe again. And if you even want to, you could take the whole thing and not on this. I'll show you in a minute. So this is the 4 to 8 pattern, which I will have for free in the blog, so you can find that link in the description box below. But I will have a 9 to 12, and then a ladies, and then a men's. The ladies would fit teens as well. So I'm just going to show you the one that I made for myself. This is a ladies. So it's nice, and it's a nice size. It has a nice low neck here, so I can, you know, keep my chest warm. It goes nice low in the back, keep the back of my neck, and this is really great, so you can kind of put your coat over top of it and then be fully protected. And then I have my little face protector here, and I can bring it down here if I want to. I can cinch it up and then totally be protected. It cinches on both sides like that. Or I can relax it. When you're outside and it's blowing snow and it's cold and maybe you're skiing or you're tobogganing, you don't care what you look like as long as you are warm, right? And even with this hat, if you get a little too hot, you can just go like this and just use it as like a neck warmer and just keep it like that. And how cute is that? You would never know that this is a hat. So if you are already supporting me over on Patreon, 1, thank you, and 2, this pattern will be for you for free this holiday season as a thank you. So of course, as little as $1, you can go over to Patreon and support this channel. But for now, I'm going to give to all of my viewers the 4 to 8 pattern for free, and then the rest from 9 to 12, and then the men's and then the women's, you will find over at the Etsy shop, which will be linked in the blog post or down below or in the cards or somewhere. You'll find it. But yeah, so I hope that you're just as excited for this hat as I am. And let's just get straight into the tutorial. Okay, so here is a closer look at the hat. Like I said, I made this out of fleece. This is the 4-8 size. So if you're interested in grabbing the free pattern, go over to charmedbyashley.com. The link will be in the description box or in the information icon. But of course, if you want to have all the sizes, there will be a link to the Etsy shop, or you can go over there and grab that, and it will be on sale for a limited time. So grab that. You're going to want this pattern for the winter months. So this is the pieces that you'll need. These are the two head pieces. You'll have the face mouth piece here, and then the neck piece, and then the inside around the face piece. It doesn't really make any sense, but it's all in the pattern, so you'll understand as we go through this. Some other little things that we will need is some elastic and cinchers. Now these are of course completely optional. You don't have to put them in the hat. The hat can still function, but if you want to have that extra, you know, be able to use the elastic and cinch it up and stuff, then I just use some paracord, but you can use any sort of round elastic for those little cinchers. And then I was using some little eyelets to make the holes, but you could just make a little slit in the fleece because it doesn't fray. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the two head pieces and put those with their right sides together, and we're going to sew the back of it, so around the curved edge. I'm just going to use a regular sewing machine. You could use a serger if you wanted to do this. It's not really necessary because fleece doesn't fray, but if you wanted to make it look a little nicer, you could do that. But I'm just going to use my regular sewing machine for this whole project. So here are the two, they're sort of the face pieces that will attach to the hat. So you're going to take the top of them and then put the right sides together. Those little short sides there, we're just going to sew right across there. And we're going to do that to both pieces. And that actually is creating the opening of the hat. So again, we'll put those right sides together, lining up the short ends, and we'll clip those into place so that we can do a quick little seam right across there. I did forget to mention that I also have a 1/4 inch elastic that I'll be adding. I didn't have that in that first video, but like I said, all the materials will be in the PDF pattern anyway, so you'll have a list there. So I'm just using a 1/4 inch seam allowance to do these quick little seams here. So now I'm going to be taking the mouth panel, and I'm going to be hemming the top of it. So I just folded it down about 3/4 inch. I want to have it a little bit wider because I am going to be inserting an elastic in there. So I'm kind of creating a casing essentially. So I'm going to be sewing right across there, but I'm going to be using a zigzag stitch, and I'm going to sew basically right on top of the raw edge to hem it. Now this is my 1/4 inch elastic here. I'm just going to cut it to be about 3/4 of the size. Depending on the quality of your elastic and the stretchiness, you kind of need to figure out what you like best and how much, because some elastics have a tighter tension, some have a looser tension. So depending on the one you have, you might want it to be a little longer or a little shorter. So I'm just going to do that zigzag stitch, and I'm going to do it right on top of the raw edge there, and that's just going to kind of close it up and hem it at the same time. And I'm using that zigzag because I want to allow stretch for this mouthpiece, because you know you're going to want to put it under your chin and you don't want your stitches to pop. So now I'm going to place the little piece of elastic here. I'm just going to use an elastic threader, and I'm just going to clip the one side, pull it through, and then clip the other side. I like to take this over to the sewing machine and then just tack the elastics down into place just so that they don't pop out of the clips while we are constructing the rest of the hat. So I'm just going to put clips here, and as you can see, it does gather it a little bit, so it just depends on the elastic you're using and the tension that you want. So I'm just doing a few little tack stitches right on the end, and then we don't have to worry about that elastic going anywhere. So now we're going to take the outer front piece of the hat, and then we're going to take that lining piece and we're going to line up those two short seams. We're making sure that the fabrics are going to be going right sides together, and with the fleece you can kind of tell that the front of it is a little bit more fluffy and the back is a little bit more dull, so hopefully you can see the difference in your fleece. I'm just lining up all the way around the inner circle, so this is the opening of the hat, so as you can see, so everything should line up perfectly as long as your seam allowances are the same when you sewed the lining and the outer. We're just going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around where we clipped. When we get to the corner, we're just going to lift the presser foot and pivot our needle, and then we can keep going all the way around. And this is just going to make it so that the opening of our hat is nice and finished. So this is how it's going to look. And we're just going to take that lining piece, we're just going to push that on the inside. Now from here we are going to just flatten that lining as best as we can. We're going to use some clips just to hold it down. And this is where we're going to actually create a casing for the round elastic. So I'm going to put in my little eyelets right now, and I'm just going to measure like 3/4 inch away from that corner, and I'm just going to mark it, and that's where I'm going to put my little eyelets. Now you don't have to put eyelets, and I even found that the eyelets don't necessarily stay very nicely, so if you have something else you want to use, you could just very carefully make a little hole with an awl, or just slit it with your scissors, and that would be fine also. It doesn't really have a lot of pressure on it, and like I said, the fleece doesn't fray or anything, so it would be totally fine that way also. But just to make it look a little bit more finished, I'm going to apply my little eyelets here. So I'm just pushing through the male end of the eyelet through the front, and then I placed the female end on the back, and I'm just going to use my crocodile, and then I'm going to set that eyelet. Any of the tools or anything that I use will be over at the blog post also, so if you're looking to get your hands on any of the tools, or like the eyelets or the little cinchers or anything, I'll have links to all those products over there. So I'm just going to install the second one quick. And then the next part is pretty much up to you. I am going to be installing the round elastic at this part. Now I thought maybe it was a good idea to kind of just put the elastic around the opening of the mask and then sew the casing for that elastic. So I basically just stick those little ends through the eyelets from the back, put my little cinchers on, tie it in a knot, and then I would flip it back over and then just kind of guide the elastic into the fold of the fabric. This works, but you can also wait to the end and thread it at the end if you want. So now we're just going to sew like a 3/4 inch little casing all the way around the face of the hat, not the bottom, but just around where the elastic has been installed. So it's just virtually a top stitch. And I'm just feeling with my fingers to make sure that I don't sew over the elastic. And then basically it is finished. So now I'm going to actually just sew another seam across the bottom of the face area, and that's just to make sure that the inside lining stays down flat. Now if you wanted to take the end of your elastic and then put the end back through the eyelet and then tack the end on the inside within this seam, I have done that on some hats also. So if you don't want to have the raw end of the elastic hanging down, you can definitely do it that way. So now we're going to work on the little face panel, and this is how it should look, but we're going to actually take this piece and place it with the wrong sides against the right side of the outer fabric. And the reason why we're going to do that is so that when we flip it, then the right sides of that fleece is going to be on the outside, so it looks nice. We're just going to clip it all the way around, but we're only going to sew that curved edge. So we're just going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance right here. And then after that, we're going to flip the, I guess you could call it a gusset. I'll just call it a gusset. The gusset over. We'll kind of push out the curved area there. And then I like to take my clips and then I'll just clip the side of the gusset down along the sides of the front of the hat like this. And then we're going to take the main part of the hat, the back of the hat, and we're going to put this on top so the right sides are touching the right sides of the front of the hat. We're going to line up the top seam. So the top seam of the hat and then the top seam of the front of the hat. And then I'm just going to go from the seam down the one side all the way down and then clip down from the top of the seam all the way down to the other side. And we're going to sew all the way around, making sure that we catch the 3 layers with the gusset. And then all the way around as you go over that elastic, if you want to back stitch over it just to make sure the elastic is nice and secure. And then back down the other side, making sure you get all of your layers caught. And you're just going to stop right at the bottom of the front of the hat. So you'll have a little bit of extra here. We're going to fold in the side edge of the fabric and then fold it up, and we'll do that on both sides, and that's kind of going to tell us where our hem is going to be for the back of the hat. So again, I'll show you. I just fold in the side there and then fold it up. And then you can fold up the rest of the back of the hat, creating your hem. And then we're just going to do a top stitch at the bottom of the hat, and then that's going to pretty much be it. We're going to do a zigzag stitch to make sure that this is a stretch stitch, because you will stretch it to put it over your head. So I'm just going to do the zigzag right over the raw edge right there just to finish that off nicely. And then when we get to the front of the hat, we're going to go down the curve of the neck part, and that will just finish that off as well. I'm just going to kind of go over that little hill, and then we'll just turn the fabric, go along the curved edge, and then back up, and then finish that off. So once you're done that, you're pretty much done. It is such a quick and easy sew. It's going to be a hit this season. I already know everyone's going to want one. So if you make some for yourself, just know that people are going to be like, where did you get that hat? I want one. It is so warm and cozy. My kids already went to school with them, and their friends are like, where did you get that hat? And I'm like, oh God, what did I do? So go over to the link in the description box in the comments section. Go over there. Grab that pattern, try it out. If you like it, it's on sale. Go grab it at the Etsy shop. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye guys.